Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the program. Stan Grava along with Chris Bergeron. Chris, a little bit about 638 before we get to some highlights. You guys have the great unknown in the district now. You always had Patterson and you always had Berwick and, you know, Franklin and West St. Mary and you guys, and you knew each other. Now you're thrown in with, or they're thrown in with you, Catholic of New Iberia. What do you know about Catholic of New Iberia?
I know they throw the ball all over the field. I know the quarterback is up in the state leaders in yardage and touchdowns.
Very highly recruited guy, too.
I think he's committed to Tulane. They have a good core of receivers and a good tailback. So they are kind of the unknown a little bit. You look at them early in the season, and I think they put up something like 95 points in 2 games. So you really don't know too much about them until you see them on film.
You see what they did against Central Catholic of Morgan City, who has on the single A level, a good football team, and you kind of scratch your head. So along with you guys in Patterson, they're another threat. The other teams always have athletes. You got West St. Mary next week, and I know that's always tough too.
They're always scary just because they have so many athletes, and when they do get it together, they present some problems to you.
Well, we're going to jump back to District 8-5A, and before we even look at this game, I have to thank Tom Plaisance. He is the PA guy over at Central Lafourche High School. He had a media packet for Mr. Big, Bobby Arsenault, and I. We did radio for 106.3 The Rock, and also we were simulcast on ESPN radio. And this guy took care of us, so thanks a lot, Tom. We enjoyed it while we were there today. Central Lafourche, tough loss against South Terrebonne last week. H.L. Bourgeois, great win against Assumption. So here we go. Here are highlights as the band gets everybody fired up, playing the horse as they always do before the game starts. And there come the Trojans through the breakthrough. Once again, great crowd over in Matthews as Central Lafourche. This crowd is always big and does a great job of supporting the Trojans. Here's the man. You've seen this guy before, Chris, Kobe Savoie. Guys, this is the first play of the game. They don't get a particularly great kickoff return, but you don't need one when the guy does that on the first play of the game. So Kobe Savoie takes it in for the touchdown. They get the extra point. After, 14 seconds, the score was 7-0. The ensuing kickoff, and it is hauled in by number 21, Carl Brown, who has trouble holding on to it, and the ball is there, so not real good field position. Tyler Duraron. H.L. Bourgeois did do a pretty good job of passing the ball tonight. This pass out to Joshua Alamo in the flat. Unfortunately, that drive bogs down. A punt here by Bo Moore. He did a great job of punting, keeping Central Lafourche locked in. But Byron Jones gets behind the wall. If it were not for that man, number 20 right there, running him out of bounds, it could have been trouble. But once again, here's Kobe Savoie on a nice run. He had over 100 yards just in the first half of this game. But it wasn't just him now. They had a lot of other guys who contributed in this game. Byron Thomas had a pretty good game for the Trojans. So did just a host of guys. Brian Thomas, number 4, you see right there in the picture at the fullback position, had a very good game also for the Trojans. They dominated on the ground, didn't have to throw the ball a lot. In the second half, H.L. Bourgeois played better. Their defense kind of rose to the occasion, but unfortunately it was too little too late, as at halftime the score was actually 20-0. But they string it out in the second half. You're going to see in a little while. This is late in the game. Tyler Duraron on the scramble. Nice pass out there again to Joshua Alamo. As I said, he had over 100 yards passing and can throw the ball well, but unfortunately couldn't get anything going. Central Lafourche wins the game 34-0, so they go to 1-1. At the bottom, this game played last night. Salmon must be pretty good too. They defeat St. James 48-12. I never thought I would see a 0-5 St. James team, but that's what they are at this point. 0-5 on the season. You guys scrimmaged against Central Lafourche, pretty good football team, right?
They are pretty good, and they take away your aggressiveness on defense running a triple option, and Kobe makes it go for him, and he does a great job of running their offense, and you can see that they neutralize those 2 big defensive tackles from Bourgeois. You know, Jacobs is not very good when he's unblocked and he's got to take a dive player, and you can loop right around him on the midline. So they do a good job of running it, and Kobe's the guy who makes it go. If Kobe's not there, I don't think they're as good offensively without Kobe.
He's there. The only thing I will say, and I think Central Lafourche fans will agree with me on this to a certain extent, For some reason, they're having trouble with that center to quarterback exchange. They put the ball on the ground a few times again today, so I'm sure that's something that Coach Kale is going to work on. They had that trouble in the muck over at South Terrebonne last week and had it a few times this week, but obviously it did not hinder them too much as they get a big win tonight. Over at Buddy Marcella Stadium here in Houma on the campus of Vanderbilt Catholic, a very good Hornville team comes in. Their only loss on the year to Lutcher, and obviously we're finding out that Lutcher is a pretty good football team. So what we'll do is we're going to jump over to Buddy Marcella, the band from Vanderbilt, cranking it up early, and a lot of these, that's Hornville, I'm sorry. A lot of these highlights are of Hornville, as you see early. Lloyd Richard of the middle. He gets it down near the goal line, and they give it to the man. This is one of the biggest recruits in the state of Louisiana, Alfred Blue. He punches it in for the touchdown. He's in the top 5 in rushing in the state, and they certainly have a lot of weapons for him to be in that top 5. Here is Brian Ensminger. Yes, he is of the Ensminger family that Steve Ensminger, who played for LSU, I think it's his brother's child, on a pass complete to James Butler for a good gain. And there you saw Alfred Blue again. He takes it into the end zone, and the score is now 14-0. All of this very early in the game. Again, Blue goes around right in, and as you can see, he is very tough to bring down. He gets it to the 5-yard line and then says, hey, I'm just going to bulldog this thing into the end zone. And he does. No problems for Hornville. 42-7. It's a deal where that was going to be a tough game for Vanderbilt because there's a lot of teams in this area that just kind of shy away from Vanderbilt and the Desterhans just because they're so talented. There's no doubt about it. West St. John goes down to West Jefferson 21-6. Kind of an expected score because West St. John playing on the single A level, West Jefferson a 5A school. So again, Hornville runs their record to 4-1. Unfortunately for Vanderbilt, they dropped to 1-4, and they start district next week against Belle Chase. So that's going to be interesting in that district because I think that district, quite honestly, Lutch is pretty good, and Lutch is the heavy favorite, but everybody else is right there, right behind those guys, and that's teams that y'all see from time to time. So y'all have a little bit of acquaintance with a lot of teams in that district.
Yeah, Lutcher's obviously the front runner, and playing those guys last year in the first round of the playoffs, knowing they brought back so many guys on offense, the quarterback Webster and Jarvis Landry, the receiver, you got to give them the front runner. Because where it is out on the river, Hornville is the team to beat in that district. And they go to overtime and beat Hornville. So you got to look at Lutcher, and Belle Chase is going to have our athletes on offense and speed. So it kind of comes down to being a 2, maybe 3-horse race.
Y'all a little bit pleased that Lutcher moved up to 4A?
Absolutely, absolutely.
No questions about that, huh? When we come back, Ellender and Assumption, 2 teams that have been struggling just a little bit. One of the teams going to get off the snide a little bit with a victory tonight. We'll find out who that is when we get back from this timeout.